the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic print. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Dally M medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. We're here for something a little bit different. We are doing the Thursday game previews in their own separate video. Of course, we get 3 games on our Thursday this time because it is, of course, Anzac Day. So a really exciting day for just in general for Australia and for the NRL. Anzac Day is some of my favourite games when we get these games going ahead. So we're going to be combining all of those Thursday games into the one podcast, and then we'll be looking to combine Friday and Saturday into one, and then the 2 Sunday games will get their own podcast as well. But we'll jump straight into it. As I said, we try and make these a little bit shorter, so we'll get into our first game, which of course is the New Zealand Warriors up against the Gold Coast Titans. Go Media Stadium, Auckland. So Warriors home game. Warriors currently sitting in 10th, and the Titans are down the bottom in 17th. And this one's at 2 p.m, guys. So if you can, try and get onto this one quite early. Apparently the Warriors are putting on a massive presentation for this one, so that's going to be really good to see. I'm going to try and hopefully get the entire broadcast into this one and just watch it from start to finish, because yeah, Anzac Day is a really important day. It's one of those days I take really seriously. It's not just a public holiday, in my opinion. It's something that we should actually, not take for granted, and we should celebrate everything that was. So I'm going to try and watch every one of these games, watch all of the presentations, and show them all, pay their respects, and I'll pay my own respects. But we'll jump into this game. We'll start by looking at the ins and outs for these two sides. For the Warriors, it's just the one. Kurt Capewell is out of the team with a throat injury, I believe, which means young Jacob Laban gets his first start in the NRL, which is fantastic to see. He's a gun forward. He's been coming through the ranks. A lot of raps on Jacob Laban, so really excited to see how he goes. The big stuff is on the bench, though, for the Warriors, with Dylan Walker returning from his injury and Zion Mayu making his NRL debut off the bench. So another really exciting forward. A lot of raps on the Warriors juniors, especially Zion and Laban, etc. So to see them line up in this one, and what's going to be a really important match for the Warriors, and with Anzac Day, they've been asking to get the chance to celebrate it in New Zealand for a long time, and they've got that opportunity now. So I think it's going to mean a lot to them. What I love about what they're doing is they're showing respects to Australia and New Zealand, and that's what the Anzacs are. I think when it comes to the Australian teams, it's always sort of just centred on Australia, or at least where they're from. The Warriors have done the full sweep with their jerseys and everything. They've got the Australia, New Zealand countries on the back, the flags, etc. So it's really good stuff to see. I'm really excited to see them pay their respects. But before we get into how I see this playing out, we better go over this Titans side. For the Titans, it's not too much different. Of course, the late changes of last week where that Phil Sammy didn't play. So AJ Brimson has actually been named at fullback this week. He played it last week, but of course was still named at 5'8". Tanner Boyd is named at 5'8", and Kieran Foran's at halfback. So those two have done the switcheroo from the early rounds of the season. Not sure how much it necessarily plays out. I'm pretty sure Tanner still did most of the kicking last week, but then again, I can't recall. But yeah, not too much different for the Titans there. It's a pretty stock standard team to the one that lined up in round 7. So how do I see this one playing out? Well, I see the Warriors winning. I think as I said, getting the opportunity to do the celebrations and the entire ceremony over in New Zealand, I think is going to mean a lot to them. Apparently they're doing so much work into making this such a important thing for their club and for the NRL. It's Charnze Nicoll-Klokstad's 100th match. We've got the debut of Zion. I think there's just going to be, and that they have to pay back their fans from the poor performance that they put up against the Dragons. So I think there's just going to be a lot riding on this game for the Warriors. They're going to take this so seriously. The only, scare I see is that it is Anzac Day, and I hope that every club does get up for it. So I hope the Titans get up for this one and they try and represent to the best of their ability too. But I think we know if both clubs are playing at the best of their abilities, I think the Warriors are a better club. I think there's just so much going into this game, going into this day. There's so much emotion for them that I think they get up for a massive game here. It could be a bloodbath, but I did also say that last week. So, take my tips with a grain of salt. I haven't been tipping too well this year in general, but yeah, I think Warriors get this one done. I think they get it done quite well. Just so much going into this game for them. In terms of the matchups I like for this game, well, I think I've got to go off the fullbacks. I mean, Titans haven't shown too much all season in general, but AJ Brimson, he's always been trying, whether he's at centre, 5'8", fullback in this game. I think he's the heart and soul of their club, to be honest. So him up against Chance in his 100th game, that's really exciting for me. You know, there's a lot of other matchups that I like. I like the Alofiana Khan Pereira and Dallin. I love Brian Kelly and Rocco Berry, but I can't go past the fullbacks, especially in Chance's 100th game. So that's where I'm looking at for the matchups. As I said, in terms of how I see it playing out, I just see the Warriors playing a clinical game of footy, really hard, really passionate, and I think they just roll the Titans, unfortunately. For Titans fans, not unfortunately for me as a Warriors fan. But yeah, I think Warriors get this one done. In terms of my bets, the multi I have for this game goes as follows. We have the New Zealand Warriors covering the line, which is minus 12.5 points. We have Chance Nickel-Klukstad as an anytime try scorer in his 100th game. And then we have Dallin Watene-Zelezniak to score 2 or more tries, and the odds of that come to $12.50. So if you're putting $1 on that and all three legs get up, you win $12.50 back to the dollar. But I'll go a little bit more in depth than them. Yeah, Chance to score in his 100th game. Look, I just see it happening. He's been threatening the entire time so far. Dallin, we know the Warriors love their right edge. I think it's got to go Dallin's way. And the line, for those of you if you're unfamiliar, the line basically means it's like a head start. But in this case, because it's a minus 12.5 line, it means the Warriors essentially start 12.5 points behind. Or if you will, the Titans start with 12.5 points on the board. So the Warriors, for that to win, they have to win the game by over 12.5 points. So if they win by 13, that leg gets up. If they win by 14, etc., it gets up. It just needs to be over 12.5 points. So that is how all three of them get up. Once again, that's Warriors minus 12.5 line, Chance Nickel-Klukstad anytime try scorer, and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak to score 2 or more tries. And that one wraps us up for the Warriors-Titans preview, which means we'll get straight into the Dragons taking on the Roosters. Now, as we know, the Dragons-Roosters, it is synonymous with the Anzac Day clash. Every single year we get these two great clubs going at it, and it's always a fantastic match no matter where these clubs are placed on the ladder. Currently, Dragons are sitting in 9th, and Roosters are in 11th. It's in Allianz Stadium, so I guess it's a Dragons home game, but it's very neutral grounds. It's just what you do for the Anzac Day game. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's one of my favourite matches of the entire year. As I said, no matter where they are on the ladder, they get up for this one and they play some really good football. So I'm really excited for this. In terms of, before we get into the tips, we should probably go through the ins and outs. For the Dragons, late changes are that Zach Lomax has moved on to the wing and Michaeli Ravalawa has dropped out. Jack Bird in jersey 19 comes back from injury. So he's back in the centres, Bird and Lomax back on the wing. But beyond that, not too much different for the Dragons. Same 17 that rocked last week. Of course, Farmanu Brown, who was a late inclusion to make his club debut last week, he is once again named in jersey 14 for them this week. For the Roosters, also some late changes. Michael Jennings has come into the centres and Suoli'i has gone to the wing in the place of Daniel Tupou, who has dropped out as a late withdrawal. Beyond that, also, Victor Radley is out of this game, which means Connor Watson has been named to start at lock forward and Siwa Wong has been promoted to the bench. So their bench consists of Nafahu White, Egan Butcher, Terrell May and Siwa Wong, which means some good things for Brendan Smith owners in Supercoach, aka myself. But beyond that, not too much for these two sides. Still fielding really, really good sides. And as I said, they could field a team of reserve graders and they just get up for it. So I'm really looking forward to it. In terms of my tips for the game, I've tipped the Roosters, but not with great, enthusiasm. I don't wholeheartedly believe that they can or will get this done. After what the Dragons put out last week, some really, really good football, they can definitely get it. And if you're kidding yourself if you think that Shane Flanagan isn't going to have his side, up and ready for this Anzac Day clash. So Dragons, if you're tipping Dragons, I love that for you. I think that's a great tip. I'm just going to back in the Roosters for the same metrics. Realistically, Trent Robinson's got to have his side up and running, up and ready and up and firing. And if both teams are playing at their best, which I'm hoping both are, I just think that the Roosters side plays better football at their best. So based on those metrics, they are my tip. No real reason as to why they win this one. Like no, how I see it playing out. Forward packs or backs or whatever. I just think if they're playing their best footy and they're hitting their shapes better, I think the Roosters have too many superstars for the Dragons to stop, no matter how good the Dragons are playing. So that is why I've tipped the Roosters in this one. In terms of my matchups, well, it's quite an interesting one because I'm not really sure where to go with the matchups in this one. You can go Zach Lomax from the wing, who's been killing it. He'll line up on the right-hand side, so he'll be up against Suoli'i, which I do like that matchup. Two players who are being tipped for State of Origin duties this year. Zach Lomax been absolutely killing it. Suoli'i, he's been pretty quiet, but he's been playing some good, consistent football, just not superstar football. So I really like that matchup. It could be my matchup for the game. Two really big, really tall wingers. They're going to be battling each other in the air, battling each other, just in their hit-up quality. So I really like the matchup of Suoli'i and Lomax. Beyond that, looking across the field, Angus Crichton, he'll be up against Roman Faitala-Mariner. Not ideal. I'm going to have to settle with that, to be honest. I do like Ben Hunt and Sam Walker, the two Queensland halfbacks going up against each other. Zach Lomax and Joseph Suoli'i, that is my matchup for this one. In terms of my bets for this game, as I said, I have gone the Sydney Roosters head-to-head. Pretty good odds on that, paying $1.50 for that just there. So I haven't gone any lines or big win, little win, just Sydney Roosters to win. I don't really mind how they get it done. Just get it done for me for my bets. Thank you. I've got Zach Lomax as an anytime try scorer. I just think him on the wing, he's so dangerous in so many facets of the game, whether it's, just on the end of a backline move, whether it's, okay, we've run out of ideas, let's kick for Zach Lomax, who's incredible in the air, whether it's conjure something from nothing, Zach Lomax can do that. So I really like him as an anytime try scorer on that right-hand side for the Dragons. And then I've got the match going under 43.5 total match points. As good as I think these sides can play, and as, if they're both on their best and they're playing attacking footy, maybe it could blow out, but I also think that they can defend and they'll be up for a really gritty defensive effort. So under 43.5 total match points, I don't mind that as my third leg. And the odds of that come to $9.25. So if you're putting $1 on that and you're winning, and all three legs get up, you win $9.25 back to the dollar. Once again, I forgot to say it in the first one, but all of my betting is done through Sportsbet. If you're looking to follow any of these bets with me, I do it through Sportsbet because a lot of these markets may not be available in other betting agencies, and even if they are, the odds may be completely different. And once again, make sure that when we're gambling, we're doing it responsibly. Do not gamble, do not bet what you cannot afford. It's just for a bit of fun, and if gambling is no longer fun for you, please seek help. But that one wraps us up for the massive Anzac Day clash of the Dragons and Roosters. As I said, one of my favourite games of the year. I'm so excited for today's football, which leads us into the final Anzac Day game, which is the Melbourne Storm taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs in Amy Park, Melbourne. So obviously a Storm home game. They always get this home game for Anzac Day. It's normally against the Warriors, this time against the Rabbitohs, because the Warriors wanted to have their own in New Zealand, which I think is good from the NRL to finally give them that. Storm currently sitting second on the ladder. Rabbitohs down in 16th, unfortunately. Look, we'll get into the team list before we get into the tips, but I think you know where I'm going to go with that. For the Melbourne Storm, it is a stock standard team, the exact same lineup that ran out in round 7. For the South Sydney Rabbitohs, they're obviously coming off the bye, so there's a few changes. Jai Gray, of course, is still at the fullback role. Jai Arrow has been named on the bench, but has been moved up to start in the front row. So jersey 17 for Jai Arrow, but he is starting front row in this game with Shaq Mitchell dropping out of the side, who was originally named at front row. Not sure what the deal is there. Probably an injury picked up, but that does mean Michael Cheekan joins the bench. But I'm going to read through a little bit more of that because we don't know how they lined up. So their forward pack is Tom Burgess, Damien Cook, who has been recalled to the side at hooker, Jai Arrow, Keon Kaloa-Matangi, Jacob Host, Cameron Murray, and then their bench is Peter Mamazelos, Saliva Havili, Davey Mawale, and Michael Cheekham. So that is how these two sides line up for the Anzac Day clash. Of course, in terms of my tips and how I see this playing out, I've got to go the Storm. I hope both of these sides get up for it. I really do. As I said, Anzac Day, every team should get up for it. I know I would be if I was out there playing myself. But as we know from what we've seen this season, the Storm's up for it is just a lot better than the Rabbitohs up for it. So Storm, I think they win. And this could be the only Anzac Day game that I see. No. I was going to say the only Anzac Day game I see being won well, but honestly, I see the Warriors game being won well. But yeah, I see this one potentially being won well by the Storm. I think they're going to be out to do, as I said, just the Anzac celebrations. They're going to be up for it. Craig Bellamy always gets them up for it. They've got an incredible win record on Anzac Day, probably because they've versed the Warriors for a long time and the Warriors are garbage. But honestly, I don't think it matters who they verse. They get up for it and they win. So I see them winning here. I see them winning pretty extensively, just based on what we know of the Rabbitohs this season and what we know of the Storm. I'm just going to have to back that in. So when we go into... we'll go matchups first. What are we looking at matchup-wise? I do like the 5/8s in this one. Cody Walker, he's been pretty down on form so far this season, but he's got to come good. The Rabbitohs have got to come good at some stage. I think he'll be... coming off that bye, he'll be rejuvenated and refreshed and ready to rip in for this one. And of course, he's up against Cameron Munster, who is the best 5/8 in the league. Cody Walker, not so long ago, was right up there with him. He's had an incredible run of form since he's debuted, essentially. It's just this year that he's been really down. But I'm hoping that he bounces back in a big way, Cody Walker, because he's an incredible player. And I'd love to see a fit and firing Cody Walker up against a fit and firing Cameron Munster, because on their day, these two are the best 2 5/8s in our comp, some of the best halves in general, some of the best players in general in our comp. So I love the matchup of Cameron Munster and Cody Walker in this one. Hopefully we can get the best out of both of these players, and it's just a really good game to watch. Moving into the bets, as we said, I do have the Storm winning 13 plus as my first leg. I just think, as I said, they're playing some really, really good footy. They're one of the best teams in the comp. They have been for a long, long time. Rabbitohs, unfortunately, aren't playing their best footy. As much as I hope they get up for this one, I still think that them at their best is substantially worse than the Melbourne Storm at the moment. So I think the Storm get this one done, and they get it done convincingly. Too many threats across the park for the Storm. They're the best, let's be real. The other legs, I have Nick Meaney as an anytime try scorer. The pod I put up for my super coach a while ago hasn't done too much, but I believe he can score a nice try in this one, and that is my second leg of the multi. And lastly, I have Harry Grant as an anytime try scorer. So the odds of this blow out a little bit because of those two anytime try scorers. Harry Grant has been a stranger to some attacking stats this year, hasn't really got any. I think he can cross in the middle in this one. The Rabbitohs defense has been pretty poor, through their middle section all season. I think Jai Arrow and Cameron Murray back are going to do really well to strengthen that up. But whether it's just a dart close to the line for Harry Grant or he's backing up or whatever, I think he can cross. So those are my two anytime try scorers, which means all three of the legs of these multi are Melbourne Storm 13 plus in the big win, little win margin. I have Nick Meaney as an anytime try scorer and Harry Grant as an anytime try scorer. And the odds of this multi come to $15.25. So if you're putting $1 on that and all three legs get up, you win $15.25 back to the dollar. That one will wrap us up for all of our Thursday game previews. So once again, we'll be back again tomorrow looking at the Friday and Saturday game previews. Bit different this week. And then we'll be putting the Sunday previews in their own video. They're all going to be recorded right now today. So if any late mail happens, tough luck. I'm not going to be, privy to that. But we will get those up and ready and scheduled for upload for you guys on those days. But that'll wrap us up for this one. So thank you guys for tuning into this one. And I'll see you guys next time.